this is Caleb Ralston, the ex-strategist behind Alex Hormozi's content machine. And if you've been posting content on YouTube or any other platform without seeing business results, after studying how Caleb approaches branding, retention, and revenue, I extracted 6 principles that separates between random content and that actually drives business growth. The first lesson is about branding, and Caleb has this framework he calls the
brand journey framework,
which is all about reverse engineering the end goal up to the point to where you should know what to do now.
What is the outcome that I want? Why am I doing this, right? What am I wanting to have happen? The next question is, what would I have to be known for in order for that to happen? Okay, so now we're working closer to today. The third question is, what would I have to do in order to be known for the thing in order for the outcome I desire to occur? And then the final question, which takes us to right now, which is, in order to do those things, what do I have to learn?
Because everything is about branding, and branding is all about association. It's the pairing of an idea or a logo or a philosophy with something, or in case of business, a product. And in case of videos, it's pairing it with yourself as the one making the content, like Alex Hormozi being all about providing more value. Business, that's what his branding is about.
In the business space, there's a lot of scam artists, in my opinion, and a lot of them have podcasts. If I start to appear on a lot of those podcasts, all of a sudden, the audience, because I am intentionally pairing myself with something relevant consistently, the audience will begin to inherently associate me with those individuals.
And what's interesting is that you can see that Caleb's brand journey framework is not only applicable for creating content on YouTube or whatever, but also for business. And so depending on your goal, even in a lot of cases, you'd have, for example, to take action outside of the camera and outside of content to get the results, to then like have more authority, stories, and examples to share in front of the camera. The second point, which is really, really interesting, is all about taking inspiration outside of your niche. This is one of the reasons why Alex Hormozi's content feels different from other business content, because frankly enough, Alex doesn't consume other people's videos about business. It's all about being unique. And to be unique, you have to be yourself and not somebody else. And there's only one of you. Sure, coming up with topics and ideas and proven formats that already work is all really important, which in case Caleb teaches that it builds like 80% of the content and 20% is you, the human element to the videos. If you want to dominate, you cannot simply blend in. That's one of the reasons why Hormozi doesn't consume content from competitors. And even the team behind the scenes takes inspiration from things outside of the business niche, like gaming.
And so I think the reason why over the last 3 years, we were the pioneers and everyone was copying us is because we weren't looking at anybody in our fishbowl. I would encourage you consume shit outside of this world.
The third point is all about this equation of giving more value per second. And one of the foundational things about this is also related to obsessing about the ideas.
A lot of people make the mistake is they don't put a lot of effort into the idea. I believe the idea is a minimum of 80% of the formula. Ideas are where you win, not in the filming or editing.
Because if we really think about it, providing more value lies first in the problem that you're trying to solve. Is it like a big problem, or is it a series of problems that are really relatable to your audience? And then based on that, you start creating content and you start giving more value per second. And so it starts with the idea, because if the idea has more value to the viewer, then yeah, you're already up to a great start. For example, on YouTube, the idea includes the base problem or symptom you're trying to solve. And then there's the other aspect of the packaging, the titles and the thumbnails, essentially the framing, where you could try to lure people with what they think they want and then also give them what they actually need. And as we said, by focusing first on the idea, you can ensure that you're already up for a great start and to give more value per second. And then, of course, in the content itself, don't prolong things more than they need. Because there's always this notion of like, oh, my videos are valuable, but they're not getting the results I expected. Well, maybe the problem is in the ideas or the base of your brand journey framework. Or maybe your content is not valuable enough, because value in a vacuum means nothing. And this notion of more value per second is really, really great, because like someone could make a video that's like an hour long full of value, but the value is like dispersed. But someone could get that same amount of value into a 10-minute video.
2 minutes into sitting down and talking to the camera, I realized that this was not a good video. And the reason why it wasn't a good video is because it didn't respect your time. It didn't have a high value per minute. It would have been an hour-long video that we would have forced with packaging and just rammed it down your throat. And I don't want to be that way.
The fourth point is all about managing expectations, because a lot of people start making content, having this huge, unrealistic expectations where they see someone who's already successful, like Alex Hormozi or or whatever, like who that might be. And they think by simply, copying them or whatever, they will achieve their results. I mean, if you want their results, you got to do what they're doing, but you don't know what they're doing behind the scenes. It all requires the investment and the time in the money and the time and everything. And so, even Cal mentioned that he's received throughout his career a lot of people who wanted his help, and he frankly didn't work with them because he knows they're not willing to make the investment.
And to be completely honest with you, I ignore the majority of those requests because I know they're not willing to make the investment necessary. The investment in money, in time, in attention, and the sacrifice they'll have to make with their privacy.
And so, especially when you're first starting, it's good to manage your expectations because it will always take longer than you expect. I mean, even Caleb, as someone who was for over 15 years behind the scenes, creating content for notable people, when the time came for him to create his own content for his new business, he had lower expectations. And there's also this thing that Caleb mentioned, which is like, which game are you playing? Is it like the depth game or the width game? And so, there are seasons where you should be, depending on where you're at in your content journey, you could be playing the depth game, which is like creating this very, very niche content and for your audience to solve their exact problems. Or maybe you're at the stage where, okay, let's go for more of a wider audience, the width. There's a rare case where you could mix them, but you could, for example, create 2D videos in terms of like the problems and everything. Then you could create one piece of content that is would get more new people into watching your content. And it all comes back to managing expectations at the end, because you must define winning up front to manage your focus, and even if you have a team. The fifth point is having someone else's point of view. And so this may sound weird, but Caleb himself, being the expert he is, he has a right-hand man that oversees his content. And so he's essentially like having his own consultant, or in this case, a creative director, which is super, super great because often, a lot of times you cannot solve your own problems. Yeah, there's this quote from Albert Einstein which says, "We cannot solve problems with the same thinking we used when we created them." And it's super interesting because as humans, we create problems for ourselves. The idea doesn't say like you have to get someone else necessarily to, solve your problem, but, you'd have to change your thinking to, get to the solution. And if you remember, I don't know about you guys, but for me, a lot of times, there's a problem that comes up and you try to solve it, and then it comes back again. And the reason it comes back is because the way I solved it was from the same thinking that created that problem, if you know what I mean. And so Caleb having his own creative director to consult and to chat with and to essentially plan things out is really good to, solve problems and get that kind of an outsider perspective. And there's still a way for you to apply it without hiring a creative director or someone. It's not about being the best at everything. It's about being coachable. And so even if you're alone, it's good to get into a group or, a place, a space where you could get outsider feedback. Sure, that feedback may not be the best because you're not talking to experts, but it's still some sort of feedback. Then you can join my group. First link in the description. There are other entrepreneurs there, resources, and sure, you have access to my DMs where I can help you out. Last lesson is having fun. And this may be the best lesson I've learned from Caleb as a young strategist myself. And it's about having fun. And it's really, really good because oftentimes, when creating content for business, it's all about people, it's about the grind. But really, there is an aspect of fun to this, man. Really. And most people create content in a way that is so unsustainable for them to continue.
I want this to be something that I enjoy not something that I absolutely dread and hate doing.
For example, scripts content, and like it just like feels like a burden, especially when you're starting. And so create content in a way that allows you to enjoy it, or at least enjoy some parts of it. And so, for example, for me, I like scripting content, dumping my ideas and like organizing them and synthesizing them. Even now, I'm doing a change in terms of how I record videos, and I'm more like, yes, I have the script over here, but I'm not respecting it 100%. Trying to be more me, if that makes sense. Because it's kind of really hard to be you when recording. I like, for example, editing like videos, not like fully editing them, but editing parts that are creative. I like talking about growing content specifically on YouTube. YouTube is my obsession. I started creating content on this platform 10 years old, and then it evolved around like trying to help other people create their own content. And if you want to play the long game, you gotta have fun. I mean, go check Caleb's content. Look at his videos. The guy literally rents Airbnbs to record content, and he could even record videos on a motorcycle ride because he enjoys that. Essentially like habits, pairing the habits you want to adopt with what you already enjoy. Maybe you like cooking, so you may try creating content while you're cooking. Hey, this is just an idea. You don't have to execute it necessarily, but you get my point. And it would be more fun if you're in an environment where other people are like you, creators who started businesses or like entrepreneurs also creating content. And like you're getting the resources and feedback, and it's like feels more like a community, and you're not on this path alone. And so if you like that, I'd really suggest you check my group. First link in the description. It's totally free. So have a good day, good night, whatever you are.